Take 3. SEND is an important issue for me. SEND stands for Special Educational Needs and Differences, which often means that students with learning disabilities struggle in mainstream school environments, which is why I've chosen to go to Toucan Education, an alternative provision that specialises in teaching children with SEND needs, so that I can see how they teach these children and the effectiveness of their methods.
So my name's Steph Hodson and I've been working at Toucan Education for about 3 years now, I think it is. And I am an autism specialist teacher and I'm one of the middle managers here at Toucan. So I've always taught in educational settings with children with additional needs, mainly schools up until 3 years ago when I started working at this alternative provision. My typical week is sort of quite varied because I'm one of the managers. I've got like one day where I kind of work from home or go out into schools, maybe talk to them about some of the children that they have there who are having difficulties around their additional needs. Or I'm involved in meetings to do with the children on that day. I do 3 days where I'm working face-to-face with children here at Toucan. I help to support Karen, who's our lead teacher in dyslexia, and we also have within that mix-up of children, children that have autism, so I help to set up plans for those children, look at what reasonable adjustments we might make for them, and plan their learning profiles and help to support the teaching assistants to deliver those profiles if they're working with a child one-to-one. All the children here have like objectives, so a lot of the children have something called an EHCP, which is an educational healthcare plan, which is set by a number of different professionals, including the local authority, the families, the schools if they attend one, and those plans have long-term objectives. A lot of them are here as well because as part of whatever condition they have, they maybe have some anxiety, maybe some trauma around school, so we do a lot of work around sort of social, emotional, mental health as well. So there'll be a lot of things to do with like well-being, we have a lot of movement, a lot of opportunities for like movement breaks. We have OT who come in a few times a week and they'll deliver like sensory circuit, sensory diet type activities in the main room downstairs. The children all get the opportunity to walk to a local park and use the outdoor equipment there. We do things like yoga, meditation. Karen, one of our lead teachers here, is trained in tapping, which is an emotional freedom technique. So she will sometimes use that to help deliver positive scripts to children whilst tapping on different pressure points on their body, which also helps them with their mindset and feeling sort of ready for learning.
I'm busy sorting out some worksheets that we use that are all to do with a thing called onset and rhyme. And basically it's a different way of helping children to work with the words they're learning. So they learn the initial sound and then the kind of rhyme at the end. So for example, in, bin, fin, pin. So they're looking for those words. So here's a list that they would fill in. So they'd be looking for a word that they can use with at. So they'd be thinking about cat, rat. So they're looking at their sounds, they're thinking about words, and it kind of cuts down a little bit on working memory because you're not having to hold all the different sounds in your mind at the same time. And it gives them a family of words and a way of reading words. If they've already used one word like cat and they come across a word like mat, they've got the tools to be able to work out the word that they have encountered that maybe they haven't used before. So each child will get their own thing that they're working on depending on what level they're at.
One of the things that I found more interesting about Toucan Education and how they do things One of the things that I found more interesting about Toucan Education and the way that they do things is the way that they incorporate movement into their lessons. So they believe in movement circuits and using movement to sort of self-regulate and improve focus, which goes back to the idea of proprioceptive input.
Most people believe that we have 5 senses, but really we have 8. One of these senses is proprioceptive input. It exists within our muscles and joints and ligaments that help us understand when you're picking something up, just how much force and pressure is required. Many neurodivergent people crave proprioceptive input. One way of doing this is through chewing things such as crunchy foods. This is why cereal is sometimes provided in some schools towards their autistic and neurodivergent students because it can help improve focus and emotional regularity.
Mainstream schools have started to take much bigger steps in providing support to students with SEND needs. A lot of mainstream schools have started using SEND advisors and people who are qualified dyslexia and autism practitioners as part of their support team. Exam conditions are a lot better for students with SEND needs. There's a standard 25% extra time for students with learning disabilities, but that can vary based on the student's individual needs. There are readers and scribes, and you're allowed to type in exams. I personally was typing in all my exams. You also get timed breaks. For students with ADHD, you're entitled to be able to pause the exam and take a break if need be.
I think it's very different in mainstream schools because I think there's some really good schools out there that do try to incorporate some of the things that we already do here at Toucan. But I think the difficulty is that in many respects their hands are tied. Class sizes are very big. Sometimes school environments, classrooms can be quite small and feel very busy. I think some of the children that come to Toucan struggle with those kind of environments because they get very distracted, or there's too much noise, and they maybe are sensitive from a sensory perspective to some of those things that are happening in that environment. It's a very sort of homely environment here, so it's not made to feel like school. Like the furniture's all sort of very mix-match, cosy. We have blankets and sofas and cushions, and opportunities for breakout rooms where children can go somewhere a bit quieter. But generally, the space feels calmer and more relaxed here anyway. Sometimes in mainstream schools, you have, there's not a guarantee that the staff and the teachers are all trained in all the different areas of additional need. So it might be that they don't understand dyslexia, or they don't know anything about autism, and so they don't even know the right kind of strategies to put in place to make the children feel more comfortable. The schools where the children attend schools but come to us, we share a lot of the information about what we do here. So we have a system called Dojo where we share photos and comments on some of the activities that the children have been doing while they've been here at Toucan during the day. I think that a lot of these children come with plans that have already been put in place, and I think it's making sure that the things that are on there are communicated very carefully and clearly to all of the staff, so that the strategies that are needed for that child are in place.
I think the biggest takeaway from Toucan Education and the way that they do things is that every student learns differently and thrives in different environments, which is why you have to take the time to get to know the students as an individual and learn what their needs are. And I think that's something that a lot of mainstream schools lack, and it's such a simple thing, but it goes such a long way in the long run.